So it's 3 o'clock and we have lots of people on. So I think we will get started so that you can get back to your afternoon's work sooner rather than later. Thank you so much for coming to this webinar. It's really exciting. I can't tell you how excited I am, actually. If you don't know who I am, I'm Emma Barnes. I'm the CEO here. And today I'm joined on the call by the team here. And together we're going to take you through a quite biggish change that's coming in consonance over Christmas, which we have been spoilering over time. So hopefully it's not too much of a surprise, but it's going to be an overhaul of the metadata page. So this is what we're going to look at today. We're going to go through who, what, when, where, why. Who does this actually affect? Who's involved? What changes are we actually talking about? When is it happening? Where will I see changes? And why are we doing this at all? And we're going to look at these in reverse because the why is the most important bit, really. So as we go through this, I think it's best if you stay muted, because we do have a lot of people on the call. Do type questions into the chat as we go, though. We've left time at the end of the presentation for questions, and my colleagues on the call are kindly going to curate them, and we'll go through them at the end. I should also say this will be a bit of a fire hose of new information. So if you do start to tune out a little bit, this is the end of a very busy year after all. Don't worry, we are recording this and we'll post it on the community when it's all ready. So if you think of a good question tomorrow and think, oh heavens, I wish I'd asked that, or if you're watching this later, then it's never too late. Email it to support@consonance.app as ever, and we'll get back to you. Or even better, post it as a comment on the community so everyone can benefit from the answer. Okay, so this page is not consonants. I don't know if you know, but as well as running consonants, I still run the little publishing company I founded in 2003 called Snowbooks. And our distributor is Ingram UK or NBN International in old money. So this is the login screen of their recently retired client data website. And this is its weird title details page. And it is weird, the format's embedded in the title, which isn't correct. There's a weird item code. There's a out-of-date hovery copyright notice over on the left. There's a box with some stock information, which I never look at except for the dues, which is vitally important. And there's a slightly odd POD status, which is confusing at first glance, but because I've been using this page for years and years and years, I just automatically know that it actually means the POD is set up in Onyx. It is a very weird page. It's a page that, as a web developer, you want to put in the bin and never think about again. But as a user, it is a page that I know in my bones. I've seen it so often that I don't see the horrible yellow and the clunky layout and the weird labels. So when Ingram said they were replacing it with a genuinely nice new reporting page, I was kind of really annoyed. I sort of, in my bones, I don't care if it looks terrible. I know how to use it. And if it changes, I now have to spend my time, without having any choice in the matter, learning new things. That is categorically very annoying. And now, like a monster, I'm doing that to you. Changing something that is problematic, yes, with all this white space and weird lines and different ways of saving, but which you have learned to use and you rub along with. So I appreciate enormously that this is change we're imposing on you when you have plenty of other ways to spend your time. And so I really want to give you a sense of the upsides to assure you that the change is worthwhile. So the only reason we're overhauling this page is so you sell more books, directly and indirectly, now and into the future. You already know that we can't sell books at scale without metadata. And it's true to say that good quality descriptive information about your books is an efficient and effective way to get them in front of the right audience. It's not like we have to go somewhere or run an event or have a meeting or hire a venue or do an advertising campaign. But to provide good quality metadata, you need to be clear on the information you have and the information you don't yet have. So one of the things we're doing on the new metadata page is to have a separate show and edit view. This is to keep the page uncluttered so that you can see the woods for the trees. So instead of having all of the fields higgledy-piggledy all on the page at once for any given bit of the page, instead now, when the page loads, you see only the data that exists. And then when you click to edit, you get the fields. And another thing we're doing along this same sort of idea is summarizing the key data. So this is the marketing text area. So we're saying this is what you've got, rather than having to parse all of that data and sort of process it yourself. So the overall effect we're hoping to achieve is to let you see the woods for the trees. We also need the page to be immediately useful to you. So we've added in more ways to get your data into the right format for whatever task you're doing in the moment, such as copying ISBNs in different styles. You can see here there's the dashed, the spaces, the no spaces, and the ISBN 10. And now there's copy buttons that's straight onto the clipboard. Every product label has a pop-up which you can now highlight the text of and copy to clipboard. It's driven me mad for years to have the little pop-up appear, and as soon as you go over it, it goes away. I need to copy that information. So now, with this pop-up, I clicked copy all here, and that's what gets pasted. So you can paste that straight into an email or whatever you're doing. Same sort of thing with some nice high-res Bookland barcodes as well. So you can click to download or to copy those as well. As well as copying and getting access from the data sort of readily without having to think about it, we want you to be able to sense check the data. It's not so much a computer says no moment, it's more a nudge that there are patterns emerging that you might want your human brain to have a think about. So here we're sort of highlighting some potential data oddities. Fine if that's what the data is meant to be, but it's just, to bubble that up in your conscience. The metadata page has always been difficult to find things on in the past. And that goes especially for new team members who are faced with a sort of fire hose of options. So, and for you as well, as you're moving from the old metadata page to the new one, you'll want to be able to find the old comfortable fields really quickly. So we've got a filter now at the top of the page, and that sort of whittles away all of the regions that don't contain the word that you've entered. So I've put dates in here, and that removes everything else on the page, just gives me the dates. You can see here as well the new local menu. It's no longer sort of taking up space on the right anymore, but it's tucked into the other nav on the left. So this is another part of the page I've filtered. This time I've put WCO into the filter, and that's given me the logistics region with the WCO harmonized codes. And you can see we haven't got the WCO data there yet, but it still filters the region so that that's the bit where we're going to put that data. Speaking of findability, hopefully you've already used and enjoyed the new BIC, BSAC and Thema codes, which now come with a built-in search. So I've searched for APOC here, and I've got a range of options back from apocalypse to apocrypha. So there's something for everyone there. The Thema search also includes text in the descriptions and the notes. So that should surface some really, new, interesting subject codes for you. It's not just going to match on the name of the subject code. It'll go through all of the notes provided by editor. BZAC doesn't come with notes, sadly, and BIC is retired, but you might still have recipients who need it. So there is a BIC region until that goes away entirely from the industry as well. And if you get stuck, you can read the guidance to find out more. Yep, we have gone to town with much more inline help and advice, rather than having to go off to the completely separate documentation site. This is a contextual sidebar. It contains information relevant to whatever region you're on. This is the one for marketing texts just here. So we're hoping to extend that as well, because we've got the page to a level at the moment where we're happy to introduce you to it, but we're really keen to solicit your feedback to understand what additional ideas you might have, and you might say it would be great if we could have certain amount of extra help in different regions. So that's all ready to go. Oh, big change of big text color here. That's because I now want to briefly talk not so much about the changes you'll see directly, but about the benefits that we on the consonants team get, because when we benefit, you benefit in the end. And the first of those is that our new page design means we can extend it so much more easily. This is the sort of thing I mean. So like daily or twice daily or even more, we get great ideas on ways to improve consonants on support tickets from you, our customers. So this ticket was asking if we could add those WCO harmonized system codes in place to placate core source. Sure thing, no bother. But over time, we've taken these thoughts and then we've sort of shoehorned them into an already rather busy page, sticking these new additional fields onto this ever sprawling page. It means that we've ended up with the very busy interface that we find ourselves with. So our new pattern gives us the space and the structure that we need to accommodate all these good ideas, these new fields, in an organized way. It doesn't make it quicker necessarily, because all our code needs to go through a very thorough design, build and QA process, but it does make the end result more manageable. The new pattern also means that we've got even better test coverage of our code. So just a brief insight, we all on the team write code to make consonants work, but to test all of this code, we write more code to make sure that the system behaves in the way we expect now and in the future, because it's really important, of course, that we don't break the things we've already got when we ship new code. The test suites of code also kind of tells a story, if you like, which we can use to reason and discuss what the code does as a team in code reviews. We've got tens of thousands of lines of test code, let alone the code itself. This is what some of them look like when they're running. And tests make it so that we can be confident that the code does what we expect. And I'm just showing you this to give you a sense that there are lots of lines of test code to make the system as stable and predictable as possible for you. And writing the new metadata page has been a chance to really, maximize that as a feature of the system, even if you don't see it. So the next thing that's been really important for us is being able to help you share data between systems and for different uses. It's kind of the whole point of consonants. You don't just use consonants so that you've got a pretty place to put information. It doesn't go anywhere. You need to get data into the system, manage it, and get it out again so that we can all sell more books. So in writing this new metadata page, we've changed the data source of the metadata page to be exactly the same data source that your developers use to power other systems, like some of your websites. So, for instance, this is a standalone website that uses the same data to create an AI. So if you wanted a very particular design or layout, you can build it yourself and get this data feed from consonants on the hop to populate it. That same API, that one version of the truth, can be piped into all sorts of places. It can go into Google Sheets, and we've written a whole documentation website to give you the code you need to make that work. We're putting links to everything at the end, by the way, and there'll be a community post that comes out with links and further steps for all of this as well. This is the same website, but this is Google Docs this time. So again, data source that we're using, you have access to build interesting things that you might enjoy. This one is particularly special, actually. This is another analytics platform that uses this same API, but this is built by one of our customers, the South African children's literacy charity Bookdash. So they take their data through our API and use it to build this management dashboard. It's worth saying that they are a very good Christmas charity cause at this festive time of year, so definitely consider a donation. What I like about this dashboard is that it is entirely tailored to exactly their business model and requirements. The API has given them access to their raw data and a means to build the services to their exact requirements. It's that one version of the truth thing. You get Consonance as an off-the-shelf bibliographic data management system, but you can make it bespoke with this API. So in practice, most of our clients will need the help of a developer or your in-house tech team, but there is absolutely nothing stopping an enterprising, tech-curious member of your team doing it in-house. There's no additional costs, there's no Google licenses, and we've written a lot of sample code for you on that website. It's fantastic for the CV to be able to say you can make things like this yourself with your own data. So definitely drop us a line on the support help desk if you want to talk more about it. And we'd be happy to run some in-depth technical webinars and training if there's any demand for them in the new year. So definitely shout if that's of interest. The final benefit to us that I'll mention, though there are many more, mainly around maintainability, which I won't go on about, is that the new approach makes it much easier for us to personalize consonants. This is a slightly funny one because you only ever see the consonants that you see. But from our point of view, everyone sees something different. We have a huge amount of custom client code and different clients see different things. Here's just one tiny example, which is units of measure. So some clients have got metric as default, others use US units, and the metadata page has layers of well-tested turn on and offable configuration that future-proofs us all against ever more client-specific requirements. So as ever, don't hold back with the things that you need from us. We've built it so that we will find it more straightforward to support you in your nuanced requests now and in the future. Okay, we've come to the end of the why section. What we've tried to summarize there is that there are a host of good reasons for us to have spent this time improving the metadata page, which will stand us all in good stead for the future and work to help you sell more books. Now I want to tell you about the where. Where are you going to see these changes? Well, there's the page itself, and we've had to look at some of the screenshots, and we'll see more of those in the what section. But the other things that will change are all of the links around the system that currently take you to the current metadata page. So if it turns out that come Christmas week, you or any members of your team are not quite ready for some reason for this change, definitely let us know, because we can keep your links pointing to the old page for a bit longer. I mean, don't rely on that for too much longer. We do want everyone to move over fairly rapidly, but definitely let us know if you need just a little bit more time, a little bit more grace to do that. Same thing goes with browser bookmarks, actually. So we're setting up the redirects that will take you to the new page for the work. So if you have bookmarks set up on your system to go to your, top 5 works or something, then those will still work. Consonants will redirect you. When is this happening? It is happening in Christmas week. That will be when all of those links point to the new page. But as I say, you'll be able to get to the old page if there's a problem for a limited amount of time. Just let us know on the support help desk. And so later, when everyone has had a chance to, get back from the festive break and have a really good look, and all of the team members are satisfied, then we'll be removing the old page from your account entirely. And once every client has been moved and everything's everything's fine. We will delete the old code, and we're thinking probably March 2023 for that, to give you a sense of those timescales. So speaking of when and looking ahead, so you might want to know when we plan to add new features to this metadata page. Is this it, or will there be more for you to expect? Well, I should say, yes, we want to add more features, but we don't have a neat fait accompli roadmap or planning document to share with you. We thought we'd get this first major cut done and shipped and being useful to you, and then we'll get on with some other urgent feature development that we've got planned, and then we'll wait to hear your feedback and good ideas to really make it sing. We've got lots of our own ideas for additional features, but we really are going to rely on you to let us know what further ideas the new page sparks once you've had a chance to look at it. So far, we've already had some hugely helpful feedback from people who've had a sneak peek, such as, that summary table for the marketing text that we saw earlier. Well, how about that for the contributors as well, if there's 15 or 150 contributors as well. So that's a really nice idea, and we'll build these new ideas into our planning in the new year. Here's an example of the sort of enhancement that I'm talking about. So a couple of weeks ago, Deanna put it in a field at the work level, so you can set one pub date for all of the products at once. So just a small addition, but we were looking at some of the works that have got maybe 10 or 11 products on them, thinking, gosh, have to enter the same pub date 11 times. So, if you come across that sort of idea where you think, oh, just for want of a bit of code, this could be a little bit smoother, then let us know. It's all about layering up useful fields of functions without cluttering up the page, because shaving these few seconds and few minutes off your day, just it all adds up, and then you can get on with something more creative. So long story short, we can't say what the next steps will be yet, let alone when, because we're going to all enjoy using the new page together and see what you think. So over to you once you've spent some time on the page. Ideas, thoughts, complaints and comments as ever to support@consonance.app. Let's take a look at what exactly is it that's changing. So as we're getting the sense of now, it's the metadata page and the links that take you there. It isn't Onyx, AIs, website feeds, custom reports, or anything else at the moment. If you remember, we launched the subjects region, the BIC, BSAC and Thema regions a bit early, because that was a BSAC code list update, and it did potentially change the Onyx feed, and we wanted to manage that closely. But with this, there is no knock-on effect to the Onyx, its frequency, or its content. We started planning these improvements in 2018, which does seem like a lifetime ago, right? In fact, here's what 4 years looks like from me. This is the wall in our house. It is actually quite dirty. This is the wall in our house where I've always measured my son's height. You stand the child against the wall and you get a pencil. And when we started the page, he was a little nipper of 10 years of age. And now he's a hoofing big 14-year-old. I mean, and there he is measuring up for December 2022. What 4 years for all of us, my goodness. Anyway, by 2018, the metadata page had already bloated to be a real mixture of things. Different ways to save data, different styles of form field, huge fire hose of everything everywhere, always all at once, and all of these annoying things, such as when you save the page, it refreshes and takes you back to the top, so you have to scroll all the way down again. Iterating wasn't going to fix these problems. It was this sort of iterative approach that had caused them in a way. So we needed a new pattern and we needed some deep thinking. So we thought and we sketched and we made lots of models and we went down lots of dead ends before alighting on what we thought was a good pattern. Then we've chipped away, trying to sort of deliver value, as they say, sooner rather than later, with things like making it so that all of the contact drop-downs throughout the system let you filter or create a new contact. That's been in place for quite a while now, even though the it made the fields look even more strange and ununiform on the metadata page. We thought it's better for you to have the functionality rather than us sitting on it for 4 years. Then we built the new contact profile page, which was really a bit of a dry run of our new approach with the show headed regions, which has gone down well enough. And so this is the pattern that you will now be enjoying on the new metadata page. So it's not a completely novel type of way of editing data that you're not used to. We also, over the last few years, made a start on the production run page as well, which is a fairly rudimentary page, but contains some specs and quantity information. And then throughout 2021 and 2022, we really started to power through the new metadata page, building each region and shipping it. So there is not going to be a big single code deploy at Christmas. In fact, we're stopping our code deploys for Christmas this week. So all of the code that you'll be using on the new metadata page is already in your account. It's already shipped. You can see the new metadata page as it stands, pretty much as it will be at Christmas on your account. So I'd say this Boxing Day launch, this Christmas week launch, is a major milestone in the project, but we're not done yet, and it's not one of those big cliff edge moments where there's going to be a big code deployment. So let us know anytime what you think, any bumps you encounter. Oh, and by the way, we are putting a few questions in an evaluation questionnaire whilst we have you after this to sort of get some of these thoughts back as they occur to you. So what I'm going to do now is just take a look at a few important regions in particular. And the first of those is the format section. So on the old page, all of the format information is jammed effectively into the same region. On the new page, we've given separate regions for each type of product. So if the work only has digital products, you don't see the fields which are only relevant for physical products. If there's no audiobook, you don't see duration fields, and you'll use the filter to find the fields that you want to get your eye in. These are all of the form regions. If you wanted all of these regions to appear on one book, or on one work, you'd have to publish an ebook, a physical print book, an audio book, and something like a calendar or a map, or all as products of the same work. If the only product on a work was a diary, you'd only see logistics, extents, and print features. If the only product on the work was an EPUB, you'd see ebook formats and digital book content. So again, it's this seeing the woods for the trees, giving you the information that you need without too much clutter. Another region I really want to highlight there is the contributors section, as that's the only one which allows you to sort. So you can drag and drop, or you can use the keyboard shortcuts. So you can tab into the region, press spacebar, and then use the arrow keys to move the region up and down. Any region that's got these drag handles is sortable. At the moment, that's contributors and subjects. We might do prizes and reviews next year if anyone needs it, or similar products. Those are proposed changes for Onyx by Editeur. But like I said, we've built this page so that we can extend it without fuss. The change which potentially brings the most benefit to your sales also has the potential to require the most adjustment, I'd say, and that's the marketing texts region. So this is the bit that defines how your blurbs, your description will look on Amazon. Pretty crucial. And it's always been a nightmare to provide a web form where what you put in will reflect what you get out on Amazon, because Amazon will do what the hell they like, really. So, you know, copy and paste a funny character in, like I did here in a book years ago, and Amazon might escape it and garble your text. And then I think this was published in like 2010. So I've spent 12 years trying to get Amazon to change this horrible thing. So, you know, it's really important that we do our best to try and get your data to be as clean as possible. And what we've come to realize is that storing HTML text in consonants for use on Amazon and other third-party websites isn't like storing text anywhere else. It's not a place where anything goes. It's not a place to deliver ultimate creativity. It's not a place where flexibility is king. It's a case where this is a chunk of marked up HTML text that's going to be embedded in another website, itself made of HTML, over which none of us have any control. So we have to make sure that your text, the red bit here, and this is obviously simplified, but you can tell that this is an Amazon page, and then your text gets slotted in the middle. We have to make sure that text is as clean and as managed as possible in consonants to provide all of us with as much confidence as possible that what you put in is what you'll get out. So we've taken the step of changing the way you'll enter marketing texts. So here's a simple example, updating some plain text. You can see how it would appear on a web page. And you can also see, so that's the on the right hand side there, and you can also see the raw HTML your data will produce, if that's the sort of thing you enjoy looking at. So in the darker area there, you can see that you're getting a preview as to what the actual marked up HTML is going to be. And you've also got an internal version of the text there if you want it as well. Now let's look at what happens if you copy and paste some HTML from the internet. We're not going to let you paste in someone else's markup by default. You'll have to mark it up how you see fit. So I've copied from The Guardian there, and I'm pasting in, and it's stripping out most of the styling there. And here I am adding back in the markup that I want to then get funneled through to Amazon. And I'm having to, go in and reapply formatting in a controlled way. But what if that is profoundly inconvenient? There is a way around it, but you'll have to get the HTML itself. So this is me going back to the Guardian website. I've got the HTML this time from their page. I've pasted that in, but when I and you can see all of this junk, it's the garbledy junk that causes the problems on third-party websites. But when I save that information, now Consonants is going to do its best to clean up that all of that junk. We're going to, on saving the record, we're going to convert the text into the markup language, which is called Markdown, to strip out all of that garbage that would upset Amazon. This isn't foolproof. Amazon is still going to strip out the image there, for instance, because they're not going to suddenly allow us to all put images into our blurbs. But your other recipients might need or accept images. So we're trying to walk this tightrope of strictness as well as we can. Similarly, when you paste from Word or email, notorious for introducing extraneous markup into your marketing texts, we're going to strip out the formatting. You'll have to add it back in, but it is quicker than trying to get Amazon to take down badly formatted content, and it puts you back in control of your data. It's very possible that when you go to one of your existing records, you'll see the text formatted in a way that you don't like. This isn't the new page garbling it. This is what your data currently is. You can edit it if there's a change to be made, but equally, if you leave it alone, nothing is going to happen. Remember, no Onyx is going to be sent out. This is currently live functionality on your account, so there's no big code push coming that's suddenly going to change everything. What you're seeing here is already on your account. But what you can see is I've gone to this marketing text. I've noticed that actually these weren't bullet points at all. These were asterisks embedded in the text of my blurb. And now I've got really nicely marked up HTML that other websites are going to understand and be able to process and display in a manner that is as predictable as possible. If you want a primer of what Markdown is and how best to mark up your text, click to open the guide and have a read of the best practices. This is one of the fullest sidebars, this guide text that we've written so far. It gives you a good sense of the syntax that you can use to introduce styling into your text. And we've got some copy paste areas as well, where you can grab an example of text that's been marked up, and you can see how that appears on the page. So if you need to add in a table of contents and you're not sure where to start, then grab one of those examples. That gives you the structure, that gives you the syntax that you'd use, which is, you know, asterisks and indentations and that sort of thing. Let's also take a look at the way you flag whether a product should be included in Onyx and other feeds or not. This used to be a very sort of hidden away, allow Onyx exports, yes, no drop down. So now we've made it a little bit more overt. It's in the region under publishing, and you would you'd search for publishing or restrictions or approvals or one of the words that you see on the page there. We've rewritten a lot of the help for the fields as well, so hover over those for clarity as to what those fields mean. It's not the case, this is not new, but it's not the case that if this says Onyx Live, it will definitely go out to, say, core source tomorrow, because there can be many overrides and conditions, as you'll know. You know, you might have told us only to send ebooks to core source, or only send books published in the next 18 months or something like that. So this is more of a flag that, everything else being equal, this is available to go out in Onyx when relevant to your recipients. Wrapping up the what section now, and there are just a few more bits I wanted to highlight. You can flip the orientation of the tables now. So this is good if you have loads of products and they're all going down the page, and actually you want to see them going across the page instead. So depending on how many products you have published on a work, it may be more comfortable for you to flip the tables around and then see the data, you know, sort of pivoted around. So have a play with that, see if it works for you. There's help in a number of different places. You've seen the guides on the sidebar. There's now tooltips on the column headings, and there's inline help on the forms as well. But honestly, I think the best thing to do is to have a good play this side of Christmas, ideally, to get your eye in. And to do that, you can go to the current metadata page for any of your works, scroll to the subjects region and click through to the new metadata page, and it'll be the new metadata page for the same work there. As I say, this is all live in the system now for you to preview, because this sort of stuff really only makes sense when you see your data on the page. You know, we're scrolling through a lot of my books here, but it'll snap into place when you see your data, your prices, your marketing texts, so forth. Okay, this is our last bit before any questions. So start thinking about any questions if you did want to ask us anything, because we have a little bit of time left over at the end. But I just wanted to take some time to sort of talk about the who. To ship this new page, which, like I say, has been years in the making, me and Deanna in particular had to learn this whole new JavaScript language called React. So that took a while and quite a lot of brain power in these pandemic times. And then each of these regions has taken at least 3 to 6 weeks of concerted effort. And it's meant that we've resolved some, you know, deep-rooted data structure issues as well. So particular thanks to Deanna for the astonishing amount of careful work she's done, and to the whole team for providing the calm, productive atmosphere and solid underpinnings, which mean we have all been able to deliver this one particular improvement alongside the many others that will reveal themselves. But we couldn't do it without you, without your thoughtful engagement, your sensible questions, without you helping us and pushing us to refine and tailor this service so that it helps you deal with core source and JSTOR and selling books to whoever. So thank you, and keep the comments coming, as without them we'll build the wrong things. So that's it, the who, what, when, where, and why of the new metadata page. So I'm not sure that I've stunned you into silence because I'm not sure that we've had too many questions come through yet. But perhaps Deanna, you could unmute and we could have a chat about how this has all gone and how it's unfolded, whilst people type their questions up, if at all.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's still thinking about what they're going to ask. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat or just email us on support once you've had a chance to have a look at it and use your own data. I guess I'll ask a bit of a plant question, which is, are we going to make these sorts of changes to any other pages?
What a wonderful, I'm so glad you asked that question, because it's not just been you and I busying away on the metadata page all this time. We've got our David Pounds here working all the hours to do the same sort of improvements on the contract page. So if you go to the contract page at the moment, it suffers again from a little bit of the problems that we've discovered with the metadata page, which is that over time it's grown and grown and now it feels a bit leggy. So David is giving the star react treatment to the contract page, and that will be coming out. Well, we try very hard never to give dates, do we, Deanna? But we'll be working to get that into a really nice position over the coming months. And there's any number of other pieces of work going on behind the scenes, particularly in terms of some infrastructural areas such as user permissions, because oftentimes we get asked by customers, can we have a read-only view of this page? Can we make sure that, this is only for admins or whatever? So we've been doing, Liz has been doing a lot of that work in the background to make that happen in the next couple of years. But yes, really, we'll be keeping our ears to the ground and really paying attention to the support help desk to make sure that that we build the right things for you. Now, I'm just going to see if I can share my screen onto the live view, because I can see that a question has come in from Jennifer. And this is a great opportunity for us to be able to go immediately to a live view. It does require me to be able to operate Zoom though. So I'm not sure that I can do that. All I can see is my face now. Share the screen and find the website. Nope. You're just going to have to bravely see my desktop, which is all a little bit busy, but there we go. So Jennifer asked if how do we add discounts? Now, as you'll recall, having just sat through that wonderful thing, the best way to discover that is to type the word discount into the top of the page here, discount. And that's whittled the page down so that now we see, yes, discount codes and return codes. I double click on there. I can either go to the supply page, the pre-configured supply page, which is still the slightly tired version, but at least you're familiar with it. Hitting the back button, if I do the same sort of thing, I can also see that we can go to the supplier specific values if your discount codes are set up there. So should be pretty much like it has been previously for you there, Jennifer. And thank you for the question on that. And thank you for I can't quite remember when you asked it earlier, but I think it was on a support ticket. So that was fantastic. We really want to hear these important areas so that we can make sure that you're signposted to it as well as possible. Have there been any other questions coming in? Deanna, whilst I've been chatting away.
There's just one more that's just popped through.
In the current shipping climate, we update on sale dates regularly, supplier specific dates. For I'm familiar with it, are these now visible without the need to click through? Owen, it's about the one page that is still on the click through, and we've just seen it actually. I clicked through on those dates there. Great to hear that that's a question that came up, because there we go. That's our first bit of user feedback to potentially build in for future stuff. So it's still a click-through job at the moment, but good to hear that that's something that we can work on. And we have a question from Michelle about the garble, indeed. And yeah, we've got some questions there about text copied over from Word being lost. What I would probably say, Michelle, is in the first instance is have a play and see to what extent your particular Word setup comes over and gets carried. Because it's the nature of this is that the garble gets introduced in a way that is a little bit unpredictable. So if you do some experiments, see what format your data is being pasted in, because some of it comes in, some of it doesn't. It's a bit tricky. And then you also say, could bulleted numbered list indents be added as WYSIWYG buttons? Yeah, absolutely. What we've tried to do there is make it a little bit what do they call it, contextual. So here I am on the marketing texts. I've got a few of these. I'm going to add a new marketing text. And I'm asked, first of all, what type of text is it? If it's the sort of text that benefits from bulleted numbered lists, such as classic as a table of contents, then can you see we do get the WYSIWYG icons there. Now, let us know as you go. If that is too weird, if you'd rather see those bulleted icons on every sort of marketing text, then let us know and we can have a think about it. But it would be super weird to have a bulleted list or a numbered list on a short description. So we're trying to steer this data into a desirable outcome for everyone. But like I say, have a go, let us know. Yes, it will. The question is, will the tutorial be available as a document rather than just having to, go through the video? Yes, we're going to be publishing this on the community. Then we're going to be putting a sort of a summarizing blog post up, but we're also going to put the text of this into the usual user documentation on the website. We're in a bit of a liminal position at the moment because we're trying to get as much documentation as possible into the page itself so that you don't have to keep going off to the website. That said, it's still really useful for these sort of long form discursive explanations to have a place separately. So long story short, we will put this up on the www.constance.app website. Thank you for the question. And we do have a few more minutes. But if nobody has any other questions, then we can wrap up, and you can use the few minutes perhaps to just jot down a few thoughts that you might have on our evaluation questionnaire. Lisa kindly popped the links in on the Zoom chat. Oh, Chrissy, great, yes. Oh, great question. The cover artwork will be limited to the file uploader in the future. Yes, we thought we'd put all of that concentrated into one place. So that functionality remains unchanged there. Yes, you will click through from the files area. You'll be able to see the files as you can see here, and all this lovely information which you can copy and everything. But if you want to add content files, then you'll click through to that file uploader.
And there's been a question from Bookdash as well. I've seen it. It's quite long, so we'll get back to you outside the webinar.
Wonderful, thank you.
Well, on that note, I think we can probably call it a day there, but please do send any other questions through. Do you have any other comments to say at the moment, Deanna? Have I missed anything enormous?
No, lovely. Well done. Thank you.
Great. Good news. Well, thanks again, everyone. And whilst we're on, you know, from all of us, we really hope you have a good festive break. My word, it's been a few years of it for all of us. So I hope everyone gets a chance to have a bit of a put your feet up for a bit. Thanks very much indeed. This is all a fire hose, as Alex says there. So, you know, let it percolate for a few days, and we'll really look forward to hearing your feedback, hearing your questions later. But happy holidays to you all. Thanks so much. Bye.